Good morning, sixth graders. Happy Friday. Obviously, I'm not here today, but I want to go over what you're going to be working on for class today. And you are starting a new design notebook, a new project called the Fling Machine. Most students have a lot of fun with this project, and I'm going to go over today what you're working on in class and what the project will be. So for today, it's going to be starting that new design notebook and doing task number 1. And I'm going to go over task number 1 in a moment. I'll pull it up on my screen. But it has 4 components to it that you'll need to complete. Vocabulary words with the Frere model, and you did that with your first design notebook. Read understanding the project to know what you're going to be doing for the Fling Machine. Complete a materials list, because you may need to come up with a few materials of your own. And then if you have any questions at the end, you're going to want to write them down so we can talk about them together on Tuesday. If anybody were to finish task number 1 and you have time left, you can obviously move on to task number 2. But that's okay if you don't get that far today. Before I do that, I just also want to go over expectations while you work. And first, everybody right now should have their Chromebook shut while this video is being played. Please shut it right now if you haven't done that yet. And conversation should be voice level 0. And when you're working, if you have a voice level 1 and you're working with a classmate, that's okay. But other people around the room should not be able to hear that conversation. Help each other out. Your activity is going to be found in Schoology for the design notebook, and I'll go over that in a moment. You do have the chance to move and work with a different classmate, and make sure you stay engaged. We had a few conversations on Wednesday this week of getting tasks done and working with classmates. If you're sitting next to a friend that's stopping you from getting work, choose a different spot to work, and ultimately you need to get this task number 1 completed. So let's look at the design notebook and where it's located. When I'm done with this video, not right now, all of you are going to go to Schoology, and I believe once it's published you will see it on the right hand side here, Fling Machine Design Notebook, that you could click on. Otherwise it's going to be found at the folder down below here for Fling Machine. Click on the Fling Machine Design Notebook. When you open it up, it's going to look like this. And it's very similar to your last layout for the design notebook. There are 4 different tasks that you're going to need to do for this project. For today, we're just going to focus on task number 1. And so I'm going to go through those 4 different things you're going to complete today. And just remember, at any time during class today, if you forget what you need to do or if you're simply not paying attention, you can click on this video and that'll go over what needs to be done for the task number 1. So first part is doing the vocabulary Frere model. So deadline, you have to do definition, an image, example and non-example. Same thing for produce, adapt, criteria, constraint, malfunction, and effective. So there are a few vocab words that'll take up the majority of your time today, finding out all of those answers for the boxes. That's part number 1. Then you need to understand, what is the Fling Machine? What are we going to be doing for this project? So take time to read through the procedure, to read through what you're going to be doing and understand what this activity is. I'm not going to do that for you right now. Take time to do that when you get to this spot. Then you're going to look at what materials might we be using for this activity and what materials could you possibly use from home. For this part, you need to write down the materials that you think you might use. Write down just so you have an idea to start that process. If you end up changing your mind later on, that's totally fine, but write down the materials and amount that you think you're going to have. And if you need more than these 4 bullet points, that's totally fine too. And then the last part is, after you've gone through task number 1, if you still have questions about the Fling Machine project, start listing them here. We can talk about them on Tuesday, but part of the design process is asking questions and inquiring so we can figure that out together. If you do finish this point and do the daily summary, you're done with task number 1. And if there's time left, move on to task number 2. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday.